This is an Eton TXL50. It's a 2006. Anytime these sit, the carburetors are going to get gummed up. It's not going to run. It may start and idle when you give it gas. It's going to fall flat on its face. You can try to clean the carb and change the gas. Chances are it's still going to be tough to get it running right. You can order a new carb off Amazon for about 20 bucks. They come with either a manual choke or an electric choke. So look at your carburetor and see. It's hard to see because of the sun. Let me see if I can get a better picture. There it is. If you see the black piece here, you've got an electric choke. It plugs in. They work pretty good. I prefer the manual. That way, depending on weather temperature, if you're trying to get the bike tuned right, sometimes it's easier to be able to turn the choke on and off, manually, or run it with a little bit of choke until you get it dialed in perfect. The electric chokes, it's based off of heat or time when it kicks off. So I prefer the manual. They're interchangeable, so if you order a carburetor that's a manual, you'll have to have the cable, and it's set up to operate by the thumb, or there's a plunger type, whatever you choose. So they are interchangeable on these models. I buy new ones. The key to get these running right, a lot of people take off or lose the air box. And let's see if I got one laying around. Here's an air box off of one. And there's a part that goes in to that hole and connects to the carburetor. I'll get you a better picture of one. I got another one here. This part connects it to the carburetor. These boots get worn out and they don't stay in like they're supposed to. If that's not working properly, you're not going to get these to run right most of the time. If you get like the K&N type of air filter, like, let's see a better example of one of those. This type, chances are it's not going to run right. You're going to give it gas. You can actually hear it sucking too much air. You need that restriction on these 2 strokes. 4 strokes, not so much. 2 strokes, you're going to want that. The Eton 50 and 90, and there's Denley, and there's several other ones. Polaris, Arctic Cat, all share the same engine. Your Polaris diehards are not going to agree with you that they have I think it's made in Taiwan engine on their expensive kid's toy. But if you look at them, and when you look up parts, that's what you're going to find. I'll start this up and you can hear it run. The ones with the electric choke, when you start them, you basically have to give them a lot of gas. I'll set my phone down for a minute. But you hit the starter, basically just floor it until it starts up. Because if it's already been in the choke, there's a fine line on these automatics of where it's going to idle or it's going to move forward because it's an automatic. And you can see they sound good. They're really good running engines. And they will stay idling. It'll probably die after maybe a minute or so. It'll die. But normally they run pretty good. If your kid's riding it, you can probably ride it all day and won't have any issues with it. but you can find these pretty cheap. Generally, what I do, I get them home, unhook the battery, hook up my booster box because the battery's probably already dead, spray some starting fluid directly into the carburetor. If it fires, you know you got spark, and then from there it's just it's a fuel issue. Carburetor, they won't run perfect. You may have to tinker with the idle, and you'll hear that one just, it died. But they're for riding, not sitting there listening to them idle. So I hope you enjoy this video on my Eton TXL50, and all this information crosses over to Polaris, also the 90s, also Arctic Cat. You can tell but just by looking at the engine, and when you look at your Polaris or whatever you're working with, it's identical. I usually shut the fuel off when I'm not running it or riding it. I've had them leak out the overflow. You are getting a $20 carb opposed to a stock OEM Polaris carb, if you can even find one. I've seen used ones up to $150. You can get these to run right. They may not sit and idle perfect. They may have a hesitation somewhere through the throttle if you mash it. But for the money you save, and for your kids riding it, your kid will not know that it's not running 100% perfect. And for the money that these cost, I've seen the Polaris 50s close to $1,000. I got this one for $250. Spent about, probably with my fuel to get it, the battery, the carb, the air box, I have under $300 in it. And a kid can ride this all day with zero issues. I hope you enjoy the video. I hope this is helpful. Don't hesitate if you see an Eton. They're different than a lot of the older Chinese stuff, which I also tinker with and work on. They're not as, they get a pretty bad rap, some of the older ones. The newer ones much better. The Etons, this is a 2006. The engine sounds extremely well. It had been sitting. I think someone got it at a yard sale. The kids had zero interest in it. I ended up picking it up for $250, and to be honest, I probably could have got it cheaper. That was just what I offered the guy for it, because I knew it probably wouldn't take much to run. Hope you enjoyed the video, and have a great day.